The 2022 horror film Smile is directly based on a real-life story. It explores psychological trauma, mental health struggles, and the impact of violence, which can be linked to real-life experiences. The movie's premise revolves around a psychologist, Dr. Rose Cotter, who begins to experience terrifying events after witnessing a traumatic incident involving a patient who dies by suicide. The film takes viewers on a chilling journey as Rose grapples with a mysterious curse. But while the story itself is fictional, it is inspired by real-life psychological and emotional themes that affect many people. The film begins with Dr. Rose Cotter, played by Sosie Bacon, a dedicated therapist working at a hospital who encounters a patient named Laura who is clearly distressed. During their session, Laura tells Rose that she has seen something horrifying, a man who smiles unnaturally at her, which soon leads to her becoming obsessed and ultimately taking her own life in front of Rose. This tragic incident sets off a chain of events where Rose starts seeing disturbing visions herself and experiencing the same terrifying smile curse that plagued Laura. As the story progresses, Rose becomes more paranoid and begins to unravel the connection between the strange events, the curse, and her own traumatic past. She learns that the curse has been passed down through horrific acts of violence, and now she must race against time to understand and stop the curse before it consumes her. The central horror in Smile revolves around the fear of the unknown, and Rose's struggle to maintain her sanity mirrors the real-life challenges faced by individuals dealing with psychological trauma. The film delves into themes of grief, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and how these issues can be exacerbated by societal pressures to appear normal. The horrific smile is not just a symbol of supernatural terror, but also of how trauma manifests in the mind, creating distorted realities and hallucinations. The horror of mental health. Though Smile is a supernatural horror film, its premise can be interpreted as a metaphor for the psychological scars left by real-life trauma. The way Rose's world begins to distort after witnessing Laura's suicide can be seen as a depiction of how traumatic events affect mental health. Individuals who experience sudden loss or violence often struggle to make sense of their reality, and they may begin to perceive the world around them in distorted ways, much like Rose. In fact, the idea of being haunted by one's own mind is a common theme in real-world discussions about mental health. Just as Rose is haunted by the disturbing visions of the cursed smile, many people suffering from trauma experience flashbacks, nightmares, and intrusive thoughts. In Smile, the curse becomes a symbol of the mental and emotional toll that trauma can take on an individual's psyche. This is reflected in Rose's inability to trust her own perceptions, a central element of the film. In many ways, the film shines a light on the stigma surrounding mental health issues. Throughout the film, Rose faces disbelief from those around her, as the things she is experiencing are so extreme that no one understands what is happening to her. This disconnect between the mental and physical worlds highlights the difficulty many people face when they try to explain their mental health struggles to others. The curse, with its horrifying smile, represents the inner turmoil and the isolation that comes with mental illness. Another significant real-life connection in Smile is the theme of generational trauma. The curse that spreads from one person to another mirrors how trauma is often passed down through generations. In many real-life cases, children who grow up in abusive or traumatic environments often carry the emotional scars of their experiences into adulthood, affecting their relationships, mental health, and overall well-being. The film makes a subtle commentary on the idea that trauma, like the curse, can take root in unexpected ways. Rose's own traumatic past, which includes witnessing the violent death of her mother when she was a child, becomes the key to understanding why she is susceptible to the curse. Her unresolved grief and unhealed trauma are what make her vulnerable to the forces that begin to torment her. In real life, many people face cycles of generational trauma, whether it be from childhood abuse, neglect, violence, or loss. This is particularly relevant when considering how mental health struggles can affect families for generations. In Smile, the curse that spreads after violent acts can be likened to how negative experiences can continue to affect a person's life unless they are properly addressed. The film is a poignant reminder that healing from trauma is essential, and without it, people are at risk of being consumed by their pasts. The depiction of Laura's suicide is also an important and tragic aspect of the film, as it brings attention to the often taboo subject of suicide and mental health crises. Suicide is a real and pervasive issue, and many people who contemplate or attempt suicide often feel alone and unheard, just like Laura before her death. In real life, the stigma surrounding mental illness can prevent individuals from seeking help, and the resulting isolation can be devastating. In Smile, Laura's death sets off the supernatural chain of events, but it also acts as a wake-up call for Rose to confront her own emotional wounds. This mirrors how the experience of losing someone to suicide can force individuals to re-examine their own mental health. The horror of Laura's smile after her death becomes a metaphor for how unresolved trauma can haunt those left behind, leading them to question their own actions, sanity, and ability to move forward. The film's treatment of suicide highlights the importance of addressing mental health issues and seeking support. It raises awareness about the profound impact that mental health struggles, particularly those that lead to suicide, can have on individuals, families, and communities. It encourages open conversations about mental health and the importance of seeking professional help before it's too late. While Smile is a fictional story filled with supernatural elements, it carries significant real-life themes about trauma, mental health, and the impact of violence. The movie's exploration of psychological distress, generational trauma, and the horror of being consumed by past events resonates with the real struggles that many people face today. The Cursed Smile is not just a haunting visual, but a metaphor for the emotional and mental burdens that individuals carry with them, often without being able to escape. The story serves as a reminder that mental health is not something to be ignored, and it underscores the importance of seeking help, addressing trauma, and confronting the emotional wounds that affect our daily lives. By intertwining supernatural horror with deep psychological themes, Smile offers both a chilling narrative and a powerful commentary on real-world struggles with mental health. I hope you enjoyed this story. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'll see you again with another creepy story. Until then, goodbye.